Where the people go, it doesn't matter. They will still be haunted. From everything that has been done and tested and what we've been told, I seem to have some kind of presence. I am some kind of magnet that seems to attract these spiritual things.
The Batesels, physically and emotionally exhausted, say they can no longer try to escape the ghost. They remain in their Lake Ariel home, resigned to its hauntings, and uneasy about what may lie ahead. Do the Batesels somehow attract hauntings and spirits wherever they live? Or do they create their own demons? For scientists like Nobel Prize-winning physicist Leon Lederman, the answer is simple.
I would just flat out say, you don't have haunted houses. You have either some gullible people or some dishonest people who are making this all up. Science has no room for ghosts.
Psychologist Carl Schlotterbeck has found room for ghosts. He investigated the Batesels' stories, came to support the family's claims, and joined Beth Batesel in co-authoring a book about her experiences.
I became a believer fairly quickly. You could walk through the house and feel in different rooms. In one room it was difficult to breathe even. And recordings made in that room were fainter than they were in the rest of the house. In other places, you could feel things in the air.
Schlotterbeck believes the Batesels found ghosts at each of their households because the entities were attracted to certain inviting qualities in Beth Batesel.
One investigator referred to her as an undeveloped psychic, perhaps. Other people have just referred to her as a magnet, that her warmth and her caring about people actually extends into the other world, and that lost souls who haven't crossed on find her a warm and comforting presence to be around.
Lederman points out that none of this is scientifically verifiable. The scientific method demands much more than impressions and feelings to validate a claim.
To claim that I see this, I have to prove it. The burden is on the owner of that site or the writer of the book. And in 400 years of innumerable claims, no one has ever succeeded in convincing the scientific community.
Parapsychologist Lloyd Auerbach finds proof in the Batesels' reports of objects floating and moving through the air. He says that when some people are under stress, their energy can levitate objects. It's a phenomenon called psychokinesis.
Psychokinesis is the ability that we have identified in parapsychology of the mind to directly affect matter or energy, to move things. There's usually a living person there whose mind, or subconscious mind typically, is letting off steam or reacting to stress, and is using psychokinesis, mind over matter ability, to move those objects around.
Laboratory study after study has tried to find evidence for psychokinesis and hasn't found it. The, again, eyewitness reports of something moving from here to there are very unreliable.
Many scientists think psychology offers the best explanation for the happenings at the Batesel households. Psychologist and retired Professor Robert Baker says that in over 50 years of investigating claims of hauntings, he's found ghosts in only one place.
In the human mind. It is an invention of the human mind, and they have invented ghosts because ghosts provide a great deal of psychological satisfaction to the people who believe in them. It fills a gap, a void in their lives.
Finucane suggests it may be easier for Beth to confront imaginary ghosts than face real issues.
Ghosts can be used by particular members of the family for their own purposes as a method of self-defense, if you like, psychological self-defense, when things are going badly in the rest of the family's existence. Perhaps this is a way of seizing upon some degree of certainty for those people involved or those individuals involved. Perhaps this is a way that Mrs. Batesel, in her own case, chose to solve some of her dilemmas as they arose in her family.
Are the more than 20 years of the Batesel family's supposed hauntings the work of active spirits or an overactive imagination? skeptics and scientists point to the lack of compelling evidence for the Batesels' claims. Believers note simultaneous sightings of ghostly events and knives driven into door frames, and they see the work of the unexplained. For centuries, Native American elders have passed down legends that tell of hidden places deep in the mountains of Colorado. For the spirits of the dead, these sites are sacred portals that provide passage in and out of this world to the next. For the living, these places are mysterious gateways that offer a glimpse of the unexplained. Steve Lee, a truck driver from Dallas, was on a new delivery route, driving through the mountains of Colorado. He found the beauty of the area so captivating that he moved his family to the middle of the Black Forest, 20 miles north of Colorado Springs. He bought a log cabin on 5 acres of land, and the boys quickly took to roaming the woods. The forest gave the children a sense of freedom and adventure. Steve took many pictures of his sons to send back to friends and relatives in Dallas. From the start, he found that strange lights appeared in the photos.
I noticed orange beams following around one of my youngest son, and my oldest son, I would notice a greenish glow following him around. And soon after that, we started getting things in the pictures like dogs and faces that shouldn't be there.
At first, Steve dismissed the pictures, believing that something was wrong with his film. The mysterious lights and phantom fog continued to appear in his photos. Steve became obsessed with taking pictures, and each new roll of film brought more frightening discoveries. Some parts of the house were more active than others. When Steve took pictures of the mirror over his dresser, he was terrified by the reflection staring back at him.
In my mirror, there seems to be faces that will appear in there, different people. It's not the same person. A face will appear in the mirror and it will dissipate, and then another one will appear and it will dissipate.
Steve refused to believe he had ghosts. He installed security cameras around the house, hoping to find evidence that the lights and fog were man-made. The cameras didn't pick up anything unusual, but Steve continued to be haunted by images he could not understand. He decided to contact Bill Gibbons, an electronics specialist and an amateur investigator of the paranormal. Gibbons arrived with his own video camera. In the evening, he placed the camera in the woods outside the house. This is the actual videotape recorded that night, which revealed a mysterious array of lights.
It was not like any type of lightning ball or Corolla discharge that I've seen. The radio tower will discharge a ball of energy and it'll shoot along a line. This energy did not follow any path. It almost looked as if it had a mind of its own.
The investigator used a spectrometer to check the strength of electromagnetic and radio waves at the house to make sure they had not caused the lights.
That could be caused by colliding microwave energy and radio energy just by the sheer location of the property and how the radio signals intersect each other. We found nothing there, nothing out of the ordinary.
The investigator then used a compass to look for magnetic disturbances. In the far corner of the house, Gibbons found that the compass sometimes swirled uncontrollably, unable to settle on a position. Gibbons had worked with energy of all kinds. This kind had him mystified. He finally